Get up, get focused, and get into your passion. We moeoe everywhere we go. A couple of times last week, I talked about edges. I said it's important for us to push into the remote edges of life, to push beyond the boundaries that we seem to set for ourselves. Experience new things, try new things, push beyond your potential. Then another time I talked about keeping the edges of your mind sharp so that we can cut through lies and deceptions, things that cloud our mind. Well, today I want to talk about gaining an edge. I'm talking about the kind of edge that gives you an advantage, that gives you a leg up. Because sometimes in life we need that. We need to gain an advantage. We need to gain an edge in order to be successful, in order to reach our potential. So how do we gain an edge in our life? And here's the thing that I've realized. There are so many times in my life, and I'm sure probably in yours as well, that an event happens and I have a certain response to it. And when I evaluate that response, I think, I sure could have done that differently. I need to learn a lesson from this and change up the way I do things. But then it just leaves my mind or goes somewhere back in the back recesses of my mind. And then sure enough, before I know it, a similar event occurs and I respond in the same way I did before, that I know from before had a negative outcome. And then I realize, well, I've been through this before and I reacted the same way. And sure enough, the outcome was the same. And when I keep doing that, I don't gain any kind of edge. I just keep falling further and further behind. But the problem is, our mind, sometimes when we have this event occur and we perceive this lesson, if we don't really lock that in, then we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We'll just be doomed to do the same thing over and over. So when you experience a life lesson, you've got to have some way to lock that in. You understand that your brain works in such a way that when something happens repetitively, you actually build neurotransmitter pathways, structural pathways in the brain. And so when you keep doing the same thing, or keep studying the same thing, or reading the same thing, it actually changes the actual structure, the anatomy of your brain. It builds a specific circuit for that. And so when we are faced with a lesson in life, in our everyday life, if we're able to meditate on that, concentrate on that, think about that, we can actually build a neurotransmitter pathway so that the next time that event happens, we don't have to think about our response. Our response becomes programmed. And if we program the right response, the productive response, then we'll increase our productivity. We'll increase our influence. We'll build on our potential and we'll gain that edge. So here's the key. And I've talked about this before. But I'm going to tell you again, the key is write it down. Journal it. I don't care if you journal it in your phone, in a phone diary, in a phone journal. If it's a hard copy book, you write it down. But write it down. Life throws lessons at you every day. And we spend the vast majority of our life living these lessons and then forgetting about them because we don't lock it in. We don't think about it. We don't meditate on it. But if you write it down, then you can go on about your day. But later that evening, look at what happened in your day. You may have written down 2 or 3 important thoughts that really need to be worked on, that you need to meditate on, that you need to pray about, that you need to lock in and transform your mind. But you got to write it down because you won't remember it. So write it down. Get a journal. Get an actual hard copy journal. Keep it with you throughout the day. Jot down little notes, little thoughts, and at the end of the day, go back to it. Or do it on your phone. I use an app called Diario. It's a little diary app. And I just log in thoughts throughout my day. And when you do that, you will gain an edge in life. You will stretch the boundaries of your potential. You'll make the most of every opportunity. So gain the edge. Write it down. MOEO everywhere we go.